Okay, you're an admin on an anti-bullying Facebook page collaborating with agencies to change policy and implement an anti-bullying training program for our schools. And then you provide some different scenarios and why they don't make sense and things that pop up. And I represent, in every one of these scenarios, I represent kids like that all the time. And what gives with schools punishing the victims, and my thoughts on this. And you know, the big thing is that the number one, it's a lot of this surrounds zero tolerance. Okay, that is the biggest problem since the 90s, when zero tolerance was attached to the 1994 crime bill. Now he's our president. As Senator Biden is the one that gave us the crime bill, the disastrous crime bill of 1994, which within that, then there was the federal carrot, the funds if they adopted these zero tolerance policies. Well, schools adopted the zero tolerance policies. Fast forward to the Obama administration, which is sort of ironic that Biden was the vice president. You had is it Duncan? Yeah, Duncan. Who was the Secretary of Education and was making a big push during the Obama administration to get rid of zero tolerance, and even trying to partner with the Department of Justice. The problem is that the federal money was still clouding that, and there was no money to get them off of the crack, meaning to remove those zero tolerance. And the other thing about government is that once it obtains power from you, doesn't get it back, guys. It has to be forced. It has to be forced out of their hands. And so schools all the time, they will not relent because they have the control over your children. They were given that control in an expansive manner with federal funds attached to it back in the 90s. And now it's just become habit. Now we've got a couple generations that have gone through our public schools, many of which are now administrators that went to school back then. And they're like, well, it's always been like that. It wasn't like this. It wasn't like this prior to them inserting it through federal crack money. And now it's just almost impossible to get that taken away, even though Duncan, under the Obama administration, along with the Department of Justice, put out paper after paper after paper about the science behind the damage of the school to prison pipeline, the damage being done to social emotional development, the increases in bullying. All of these things are evidence. I mean, it is data. We are damaging children through the continuation of these policies. But that is the reason why kids that are victims are treated as though they're the perps. And there's some kind of shared responsibility that somehow, if your face wasn't there, then the fist wouldn't have hit it. If your body wasn't on the ground, the foot wouldn't have kicked it. It's just asinine, but that's our current environment. But it has to do with zero tolerance. And then the second aspect, guys, is that I do not believe that the mass majority of bullying originates at home. I think that there may be seeds, but seeds need to be germinated. They need to have an optimal environment in order to grow. And that is not, it's not at home. The parents don't have the child for the majority of the day, for the majority of the year. The school system has your child for 6.5 hours at least 180 days out of a year. The institution is the one that germinates the bullying. I see it in every school system that has issues with this. I look at administration. I look at the principal. I look at the SROs. I look at the leadership style and how that's filtered over to the teachers. The attitude about special education, whether they concentrate services at these faraway schools to sit there and segregate using excuses of love and kindness and compassion by putting them way over there or in a dark corner of the hall, down there, that's where we have our special needs section, and these are the classes for them, or or their LRE is that, we don't want Down syndrome children. They don't say that verbally. We don't come out and just be honest. We use subtlety to sit there and discriminate. Children see it. They pay very, very good attention. They see discrimination. That's my whole thing about all of this stuff going on with what they're teaching inside the schools, guys. It's if you can sit there and call it, it's just all compassion and now it's equitable. No, any form of separation, discrimination, categorization, I don't care what format, what name you give it, it is what it is, and kids see it. They're not dumb. They watch adults. They're the source of the bullying. And so it can be subtle things. And all those subtle things make it okay for them to bully our kids. You want to change the systemic nature of bullying inside of public schools? Guys, you gotta overhaul public school. You gotta overhaul the hierarchy within the public school. How come we don't seem to have these kind of issues in a lot of these private schools? Well, they're run on a different model. What about those ones that use the more relaxed type of educational setting to where it's more autonomous? It is. You sit there and you look at some of the most what I consider the most strict schools with metal detectors, cops everywhere. They use mace and handcuffing kids and stuff like that. The solution is to do the opposite. But the administration are like, oh, we can't do that. We can't not use these things. These kids are dangerous. These kids are dangerous because you made them that way. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But you remove those kids, most of those kids, you remove them and put them in a school to where the expectations are different. They tend to act differently. And that's where I'm saying that the source is also where the solution lies. And that's with the adults, first and foremost. How are they treating kids with special needs? How are they treating the kids that are different?